All right, guys, the fantasy football sheepsis, the consensus, the mainstream sheep are back at it again. I've got a mock draft that was recently done by them. Now, I had no idea they had released this. A couple of my listeners DM'd me and said, "Hey, Joe, sheepsis are back at it again. They've done a mock draft." Now, this is really good news because this really helps me figure out what they're going to be doing wrong again and how we're going to fix it. So I'm going to tell you guys where Pollard is on the Concheapsis rankings now, who their first round is, what they're doing, and an initial look at this. This is an initial look. This is very early because I don't release my 16-round draft solution fully. I don't actually, I do pre-orders, but that which is coming in about a month or so. But I don't actually release my full version of 16 rounds till after the NFL draft because we don't know where these players are going to be coming off. We don't know who the rookies are that are going to be coming in. Well, we do know who the rookies are that are going to be coming in, but where they're going to land, because where they land significantly impacts where they're going to, how they're going to do. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming out, wide receiver this year, right? So it depends on where he lands. You know, he could be a great wide receiver on a particular team. So there's so much to talk about here, guys, to dissect some of this mock draft that they've created. So I'm going to pull it up here on the screen. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to rip into some of their copy and paste stuff because that's what they do, guys. It's more lies. It's more BS. They're there to deceive you. I'm here to tell you the truth and lay it out in an honest approach, not just a copy and paste type format, which is what they are pretty much doing. So I'm going to pull it up here. Now, before I do, guys, make sure you guys do hit the lion thumbs up, smash thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And also comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the Concheapsis mock draft. Again, I'm just pulling it up here for you guys. And again, always use 16 rounds is the truth because that's where you know where the optimal players are to draft. That's why you knew to pick up Laporta at the right round, Rashee Rice, all these guys that they're on now, you knew where to pick up. You knew to avoid Tony Pollard and Austin Ekeler. That's what 16 rounds taught you. These guys don't care. They're just taking last year's top finishers and copying and pasting them. So I'm going to pull this guys up here for you and start dissecting this for you. Now, again, smash thumbs up if you're new to the channel. I do outside of the box thinking. Again, this is not copy and paste. If you want to join my Patreon group for direct access, patreon.com/FFcounselor. You get the news there first, get inside information, discounts off courses. First to hear all the new stuff that's coming out with the brand, t-shirts, swag line, all that stuff. It's coming out there first. So patreon.com/FFcounselor. All right, let's dive into this here. So their round one, okay, consists of Christian McCaffrey. What a surprise. Christian McCaffrey's first overall. Now, I've told you this before. The player that finishes on top last year does not finish on top 2 years in a row. Now, Christian McCaffrey was a bit of an anomaly. The last time a running back finished 2 years in a row was 2002, 2003 by a man named Priest Holmes. He had two amazing, great seasons. Very rare. Christian McCaffrey didn't necessarily finish on top 2 years in a row. Well, he did finish top three, whatever, but it's very rare he's going to do it again. Like, it's an anomaly that he even finished this year. Now, understand, at the time of this recording, they're going to the Super Bowl. And when players come off the Super Bowl hangover, there's a decline there. There's also going to be a decline typically because they're coming off a pinnacle year. There's no way I'm drafting Christian McCaffrey coming off two amazing years. Now, understand 2020 and 2021, or was it 2020? Yeah, those 2 years, he played 10 games combined. The guy's injury prone. Now, he's proven the past couple of years that he's back and he's not going to get hurt, but what goes up must come down. Again, I did a whole video on this. Go back about 5 to 10 videos on 5 reasons why I'm not drafting Christian McCaffrey. But again, as you can see, these sheep have him, on top again. And again, only use the mock drafts that the sheep do and the rankings. All rankings are used as a guideline to know what to avoid and who to grab, okay? Now, again, it's very, very early, but we're just taking a sneak peek here, right? So CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was never a first-round pick. He's been in the league 4 years. Now, if you look at his numbers, he has been moving up every single year. So there's been a natural progression every single year. But now you're going to invest a top 3 pick for him. A little expensive for me. Justin Jefferson, number 2. He had a bit of a down year. Now, I told you he would bust. He was due for a bust, so maybe he's trending upwards. So maybe Justin Jefferson there. Tyreek Hill, he's getting a little older here. A little early for me too as well. And Kyren Williams, okay? This guy was, I believe, drafted in the 5th round, came out, had a breakout year. I'm not sure what to expect out of the Rams next year. This is something we're going to monitor. Are they going to draft another running back? Do they trust Kyren Williams? We're going to have to see because typically running backs that are drafted 4th, 5th round aren't typically trusted to be the workhorse running back. So again, very expensive for him because he finished on top. I think he finished, I'm going to pull it up here. Kyren Williams finished 7th in PPR amongst running backs, 1,144 yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground, 255 fantasy points, PPR. He had a good year, but is he fool's gold? That's something I'm going to monitor in the offseason, okay? And as you can see, they got my guys here, guys I was high on last year. And Amon-Ra was a guy we were getting, in 16 rounds a couple years ago in the 4th round. We knew he was going to break out. They were sleeping on him. Now they're riding him. Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, due for a bounce back year. And my guy, Byjan and Jahmyr Gibbs, guys I was telling you to draft. Now, if last year I came to you and I said, hey, man, you don't draft Austin Ekeler because Pollard and Ekeler were ahead of Byjan, Gibbs, Breece Hall, all these guys. If I said to the Chiefs last year, don't draft, and we're going to show you, by the way, where Austin Ekeler and Pollard are coming off this year, according to their rankings. This is early. If I told you don't draft Ekeler and Pollard, what would you say? You say, wow, that guy's crazy. Don't put him in a straitjacket. He's nuts. How can you? And Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was a 1st round. Where's Cooper Kupp? Where's Austin Ekeler? Do I need glasses? Where are they? I don't see Cooper Kupp or Austin Ekeler. Well, you're saying, well, Joe, they didn't perform well. Exactly. And I said that. Well, Joe, you were wrong about Christian McCaffrey. One wrong out of how many I got right? Are you kidding me? They told you to draft Keenan Allen in the 3rd round, who completely fell apart the last 3 weeks of your season. They told you to draft Dalvin Cook round 5, who did absolutely nothing. They told you to draft Austin Ekeler with a top 3 pick. They told you to draft what's his name? Cooper Kupp early, right? Tony Pollard, all these guys. There's tons more that absolutely busted. T. Higgins, end of round 2. I told you to avoid them, right? It's about seeing things before they happen. That's what I do in 16 rounds. So again, when I look at this 1st round, you could see that it's pretty much a direct copy and paste. So anyway, I wanted to go over round 1, just kind of highlight some things there. But again, if I had said last year, Austin Ekeler, which I did, don't draft Ekeler, don't draft Pollard, don't draft Cooper Kupp. These guys are in a regression type year. They're going to fail. They're coming off pinnacle years. Tony Pollard is not a true workhorse running back. Austin Ekeler is due for a decline. New offensive coordinator, addition of wide receivers, different coordinator, different scheme there. You'd be like, oh no, Austin Eckler's the man, Joe. Austin Eckler's the man. Tony Pollard's the man. Cooper Kupp's the man. No, not the case, guys. And I was right. Okay. I don't mean this to rub in the face. I'm just showing you, if you're new to the channel, 70% of people that are coming to the channel aren't subscribed. So subscribe, guys, because this is the only place you're going to get truth. So that's your 1st round here, okay? I'm going to pull up here the 2nd round. Now, they've got A.J. Brown, which I do like. I mean, he's been good the past couple years. How long is that going to continue? We saw a little bit of a regression there with Jalen Hurts and that. But Garrett Wilson, Saquon, I'm not even sold on Saquon being that good of a running back. I mean, he's been kind of fool's gold for years. Taylor could trend upwards. Devin Achane, Puka could be, again, why are you jumping on the Puka trade? Oh, he's proved himself. He's the wide receiver 1 now. Dude, Cooper Kupp was never that good. He had the one good year in the Super Bowl, and that was it. So now they're riding the Puka train. Travis Etienne, Mike Pittman, James Cook, and Stephon Diggs. There's got a lot of reworking that's going to be happening here. A lot of guys here I don't really trust. Who don't you trust, Joe? Travis Etienne, maybe. I got to see what they do in the offseason there. They did draft Tank Bigsby, which he didn't do much last year. ATN has proven himself to be viable. Is that going to continue? Maybe. Garrett Wilson, I do really like. He could be a 1st rounder for me. Taylor, I do like, because again, those workhorses are hard to come by. So again, this is very early. I'm just taking a look. This is just to take a look, guys. Get a feel of the landscape on what to kind of expect with the sheep, because you can cater, and that's what I do. I do the 16 rounds around this. So when I see players being overdrafted, like last year, Austin Ekeler, I tell you, avoid them, draft this guy instead. So we're gonna work that out. By the way, pre-orders for 16 rounds come out in about a month. So stay tuned for that. Turn on the bell to this channel, because that is going to be the game changer. You're not going to win your leagues, guys, with consensus rankings and draft kits, which is what everyone else is doing. You're not going to win it. So again, just to give you an overview of this round, I do like Garrett Wilson. I do like Taylor a little bit. Puka could be special. Again, we're going to see what they do with that offense. Michael Pittman is Richardson coming back? I think he is. He proved that he's injury prone. And that's where I was afraid of Anthony Richardson last year. A guy that runs that much is prone to injury. So I'm always careful with quarterbacks that run too much. I think Richardson falls in that category as a guy that runs a little bit too much for my liking. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's take a look at round 3. Now, Adams, another guy I told you to avoid. had a bust here, had a big downgrade at quarterback. You can see Adams down to the third round. Olave could take a step up. Josh Allen, again, those quarterbacks, there is going to be value at quarterbacks you can get later. Nico Collins, this is interesting because Tank Dell, I believe, is the wide receiver one. Now, you could debate that. Nico Collins is a good receiver. He's had that rapport now with CJ Stroud. This is going to be one of those ones I'm going to be monitoring based on ADP because I could easily take the Tank Dell and he could be the wide receiver one here. I'm not really convinced 100% that Nico's the one. Now, it may seem based on recency bias that at the end of the year he did really well, and he did. I'm not taking anything away from Nico Collins, but I will tell you that Tank Dell was asked to be drafted by CJ Stroud. In his rookie year. He's like, yeah, we got to draft Tank Dell because I want him. Tank Dell is the more dynamic playmaker, I think. Better route runner anyway. More slot, probably more PPR receptions, I would guess. If he plays a full season, he'd probably get more. Maybe Nico gets more of the touchdowns. We're going to have to see. Something to monitor here. But again, they're riding the Nico Collins train. Jalen Waddle, I would never, again, you guys should know your lesson here that when you guys have two wide receivers on the same team, you don't draft them. You do not draft them in the top 3 rounds. Example, T. Higgins. You have Jamar Chase and Higgins. Like, pick one, all right? And you put your stock in that. You don't waste a 3rd-round pick on a wide receiver, too. So they're assuming that Waddle's going to bounce back, have this good year. I'm going to pull up, just take a look on my end, guys. Stick with me for a second. I just want to see how well Waddle did. Waddle had 104 targets to Tyreek Hill's 171, 119 receptions for Tyreek. Jalen Waddle 72. Just over 1,000 yards for Waddle, 4 touchdowns. So when you look at touchdowns, they go to Tyreek. When you look at receptions, they go there and more targets. So what I'm saying here, when I look at a guy like Waddle, I'm thinking like, why would I get a wide receiver 2 in the 3rd round? It makes no sense. And that's what I explained in 16 rounds where I'm going over this with you. I'm like, dude, T. Higgins round 2 last year. Why would I draft a wide receiver 2 on a team? You got to aim high on those depth charts. That's a big strategy on how to win fantasy football. Waddle could have a great year, but I'm not investing in a wide receiver 2 in the 3rd round. Again, you should have learned your lesson from last year. T. Higgins is a perfect example. Okay, guys? Again, the mistakes that they're making are ludicrous here. Rachaad White here, he had a safe year. He's not good. He's just safe, right? Amari Cooper, I mean, the way his age is now, there's no way I'm spending that on a 3rd-round pick on a guy that old, right? Like, again, it's just about seeing things. Again, this is all just copy and paste, right? They're just taking, how they did last year and kind of projecting a little bit and kind of making a decision there. But I don't trust Amari Cooper. I really don't, man. Not this late in his career, not in the 3rd round. So you got to look for the youth, got to look for the upside, you got to look for the depth chart, you got to look at all these variables. So again, getting a good feel here, for the landscape of what the Chiefs are kind of doing and what not to do, right? That's the main point. It's like I look at what they do and look what not to do. And there he is, guys. Sam Laporta, tight end 1. They've got him. This is a guy. This is why I get angry. This is why my blood boils. This is why I know I'm number 1 in the industry because nobody was talking about Sam Laporta last year. I looked at all the rankings. I looked at all the magazines. He was sitting at 21 amongst tight ends last year. Okay. Now I said that he's in a great position to succeed. I looked at the opportunity, looked at the situation. I told you to draft him in all 16 round rosters, and that's why 16 rounders did well. Now they're riding him, but there was not even a talk about him. Now they're all over him here. Okay. Rashee Rice, another guy. I'm like, make sure you stash Rashee Rice on all rosters. This was a 16 round. These are all 16 rounders, guys, from last year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, Rashee Rice. All these guys were 16 rounders last year. Okay. And Laporta, all guys to draft, and now they're riding them. So as you can see here, Rashee Rice, a 4th rounder. This is a guy we were getting for free in 16 rounds. I'm like, stash him. He was coming off, last round, 10th, anything after 12th round, he's coming off pretty much, Rashee Rice, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., the rookie coming in. I looked at his stats. He had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons in college. His dad was a fantasy stud. In 2002, I believe in 2006, he was a top receiver in fantasy. Had amazing years. I think Marvin Harrison, the original Marvin Harrison, had 8 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. So that shows you the caliber of talent, genetic-wise, that we could be getting out of Marvin Harrison Jr., who is a tall receiver and very capable. And he's going to be a top prospect going into this year. Where he's going to end up is going to be a big factor on how he's going to do. But am I drafting him in the 4th round? Maybe. I don't know. I got to see where he lands. That's a big question mark, right? So again, you're going to get the value at receiver. You're going to get that. You're going to get second-year wide receivers, guys like Flowers, guys like rookies like Harrison coming in, that you're going to get the value. You don't have to spend a first-round pick on some of the guys that we saw earlier that are going to be down for a decline, okay? So again, taking a look at the fourth round, I'm not sold on Jacobs. There's Kelsey taking a decline. They're off the Kelsey train a little bit more on the Laporta train, which I told you to do last year. So they're a year behind of what I told you. So we're always going to be a year ahead of these sheep, and that's the whole goal, okay? Let's take a look at round 5 here. We're not going to do every round. We'll do up to 6 rounds, but I just wanted to get a feeling of the landscape here. All right, so again, Mark Andrews, Pat Mahomes, Jordan Addison. I do like Addison. Stevenson, not really sold. Depends, New England. I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Richardson, I don't trust him coming off that injury. Cooper Kupp. Oh, there's Cooper Kupp. He's downgraded, guys. Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins, significant downgrade. Guys I told you to avoid last year, I've taken a big dip, understandably so. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans. Mike Evans had a good year. Is that going to continue next year? Maybe. He's an aging receiver coming off a pinnacle year. We'll have to see here. Okay, now I just want to go over these 2 rounds here because there's a couple interesting things about these 2 rounds that I wanted to talk about. Actually, no, hold on. Let me see 1 second here. Where is Eckler? Wow, Eckler has gone to round 8. That's what I wanted to go over here. That's what I wanted to talk about. I thought he was round 6. Oh, Eckler's to 8. And Pollard, do you guys see Pollard here? I think he went down to like round 7, 8, 9 or something. There he is. Tony Pollard. Round 7. That is insane. That is insane. They jumped off that train pretty quick, man. So anyway, round 5, back to it though. Again, you saw T. Higgins take a dive here. So T. Higgins is taking a dive. You see Tank Dell coming off this round. Again, there's tons of talent here with Dell, Addison, other guys that you can get that you don't have to spend like an early draft pick on. You just don't really need to do that, okay? Round 6 here I want to talk about here. Really loving Tyjae Spears this year. Again, especially if Henry goes. Tajae's in a great position to succeed. I would probably get him a round or 2 earlier if Henry's gone. Again, it's early on their part. I do like Flowers a little bit. Keenan Allen washed up. It's funny how he dropped coming off a big year. They're kind of seeing the regression there that I saw last year. Now, again, he had a good year, but the last 3 weeks, trash. Jalen Warren, now the new offensive coordinator there is Arthur Smith. I don't trust the situation there with Arthur Smith as the coordinator. It's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do. I think they take a downside. I'm staying away from all Steelers players if Arthur Smith is on that offense. I don't trust them, okay? Alvin Kamara round 6 here. Again, so you got to take a look at who's available round 6. I see some talent here. Javonte didn't do much last year. I'm not really sold on him. But I do like Tyjae. Tons of upside here. I think he can go a little earlier, possibly, depending on what happens with Derrick Henry, okay? Very, very important to note. Again, when you look here at now around 7, I do like CJ Stroud. I think he outperforms Anthony Richardson. I don't know why he's so low here. David Montgomery could be consistent. I'm hoping an injury happens. You can say, oh, you're so mean. Not necessarily like injury where it's catastrophic. I just hope he's sidelined. Maybe he just takes the bench because Jahmyr Gibbs can be a top 1 wide running back, but Montgomery's going to be there. He's going to be a thorn in the side, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem I have with Jahmyr Gibbs, and we're going to talk about this in the offseason, right? We're going to talk about this all. So make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up, and we're going to dive into it here. But again, you can kind of see Pollard. Well, Joe, you're so mean. How could you say that about Montgomery? Dude, he destroyed Jahmyr Gibbs' value this year. Destroyed it. He would have easily been, Jahmyr Gibbs would have been the number 1 running back in fantasy, but 200 attempts were wasted on David Montgomery. He's such a pest. It's annoying. The guy ended up DMing me saying, man, chill, whatever. Like, it's super nice. He was nice about it. He's like, why you got to be like that? I'm like, man, it's fantasy. I was cheering for Gibbs. Gibbs is my guy. That's basically what I said. So anyway, so Tony Pollard here. It's funny how they dropped him. This was a first-round pick that I told you to avoid last year. There he is, right? Swift was their boy for a long time. They loved him, right? Drake London, Joe Burrow was their boy. What happened to that, right? Look where he is now, round 7. Like, again, it's just like, it's copy and paste. It's BS, okay? One more round here we'll take a look at here. Round 8, we got Rome here, wide receiver. I looked at his stats, look pretty good. Depends on where he lands. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler down to round 8. Nick Chubb. I don't know if I trust Nick Chubb coming off that injury. So again, there's so much going on here. A bunch of rookies here, some wide receivers, depending on their landing spot. As you can see, these wide receivers have now kind of moved up on the Kachupsis. I've always told you to get wide receivers for value. It seems like you're seeing a trend in wide receiver rookies doing well, and they're starting to bump them up. And this is what I've been talking about for years, in the 16-round draft. So you don't have to draft a wide receiver in the early rounds, you can get the value. You stack a bunch of these guys and they go off. Now you've got your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 slot filled out, and away you go. We're going to dominate this year, guys. Just hang tight here, okay? So again, just a quick recap. Let's go back to round 1 here, way back. I'm not going to go through all the rounds here. It's a waste of time right now just looking at it. We just want to get this is more of like a feeling out stage. But again, take a look at round 1, pretty much copy and paste. And these guys that you're seeing right here round 1 are not going to finish on top. There's going to be declines. CeeDee Lamb's going to decline coming off the pinnacle years. Christian McCaffrey, injuries are going to set in. So we got to be able to adapt. And that's where the 16-round draft solution and this channel, make sure you have an optimal roster, okay? So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Again, this is very early. I wanted to go over what they're doing, and this is what you should not be doing. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up. I'd love to get your feedback. And again, 16 rounds is going to be the truth. It's going to help you guys crush your leagues, and that's coming out very shortly. So make sure you guys turn on the bell and follow my Insta for updates on that as well, all right? Consheep says, don't follow rankings. Rankings will lead you astray. Don't follow the herd. Think outside the box, and you'll dominate your leagues. Lion mentality. Subscribe, thumbs up, guys. Comment below. Let me know what you think. I'm out.